What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC 285. We got Jon Jones going against Ciryl Gane.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back breaking down another card this week, but this week breaking down a very special card because we got UFC 285, the return of Jon Jones. We got Bo Nickal making his debut. We got Shavkat Rakhmonov going against Jeff Neal. We got Mateusz Gamrot, Jalen Turner. This card is fire from top to bottom. All 14 fights are good fights, and it's just a breath of fresh air. Considering, the last couple weeks we had the Krylov-Spann main event get canceled mid-card. We had Jordan Wright, Zach Pauga in a co-main event. We had William Knight go out there and forget how to fight. But this card, I think, delivers. I would be shocked if it did not deliver. So really looking forward to UFC 285. I will actually be live there watching in Vegas. I'll be leaving Saturday to get there, so I did not want to miss out on this card. I'm hoping all these fights stay on because this card is an absolute banger. Before we get started, if you guys can, please smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, be sure to check out dfsbythenumbers.com. Now is a great time to sign up in March. We had a monster night for UFC Vegas 70. Went 7-1 on the tracked bets, almost got a sweep there for plus 5.12 units, and then also went up another 5.5 units untracked, hit 4 parlays, of 3 of which are on the betting article, the main card parlay, the prelim parlay, and then the Hail Mary parlay, and 2 of those had Augusto Sakai in the parlays, so I don't know what I was thinking, but hey, it worked out. Just a monster night, over 10 units overall for the last card there, and yeah, it was a great night there. So the best option here, in my opinion, the most popular option is that $10 MMA betting tier. With that, you get access to my UFC stats model, which it has all the stats you see on the Friday show that I do live, and then also the betting breakdown video on Saturday. Lots of stats there, the finish stats, striking stats, grappling stats, all the good stuff. First notice on all bets, I don't have any bets as of now, but I will be adding bets after this video. My betting article, this is the article that comes out on Thursdays or Fridays. With that, you get all my track bets. I talk about all my track bets, I break them down, and then I also do a prelim parlay, Hail Mary parlay, and a main card parlay, which all 3 of those hit last week, and then I talk about any leans I have as well. Other than that, access to Discord, the confidence ratings, and this is probably what makes the most value in this $10 betting tier. The most work I put into it is going to be that full card breakdown and best bet article, anywhere from 14, 15, 16 pages long, breaking down each and every matchup, giving my prediction, the round, the method, the confidence rating, and then also the best bet, and then I'll be putting all my confidence ratings down at the bottom of the article, as well as all my best bets as well. And last week, we only had 10 fights to work with. I went 9-1 on those best bets. So the reads were there, the bets were there, and ended up having a profitable January, a profitable February, and now it's time to have a profitable March. Really looking forward to this month. We have a month full of just absolute bangers in March. So, and I'll be going to UFC 285. I'll also be going to UFC San Antonio. So cannot wait for March. It should be a very fun time there. As you guys know, by now, it's a pay-per-view card. It's a big card. Going to be doing a contest to enter this contest. First, leave a like on the video. Second, subscribe if you have not already. And then third, comment down how many significant strikes you think that Ciryl Gane and Jon Jones are going to combine for. $25 to the person that gets the closest. And if there is a tiebreaker, the tiebreaker goes to the person that did comment first. I'm feeling generous today. So if you do hit the significant strike total on the dot, I will double the winnings to the winner. So instead of 25 like you typically get, I'll be giving $50 to the winner if you do get that total right on the dot. So be sure to comment down the significant strike totals there. Other than that, you can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns. Also Instagram, DFS by the numbers. I'm doing a ton of video content on Instagram nowadays. And then I'll be going live Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. And then I'll also be doing best bet sometime this week. I'm not sure exactly when. Later in the week, though, because I will not be able to go and do it Saturday because I will be in Las Vegas. All right. Yeah, I say we get into it, guys. Smash the like button once again. Let's see if we get to 500 likes. Let's see if we can break a freaking record on these likes. It's a big card. Jon Jones is back. Let's try to get 500 likes on this video. But I say we get into it. And we'll start with the first fight of the card. And we have Loik, Radzhabov going against Esteban, Ribovics. We have Radzhabov, who's 31 years old, 5'8", with a 68-inch reach, 16-4-1, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Esteban Ribovics, he is 26 years old, 5'10", with a 69-inch reach, 11-0, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. So we just recently got some odds here. We have Radzhabov opening up -250, currently -225, and then Ribovics opening up +210. He's currently +190. So it was supposed to be Esteban Ribovics going against Kamela Kirk, which I was really looking forward to that fight, but in steps Loik Radzhabov on short notice. So yeah, very interesting matchup here. And by the way, this card, if you like parlays, this is your card, because we have like 14 fights, and I think like either 9 or 10 of them are favorites of -200 and greater, like lots of big favorites on this card. And this is one of the first big favorites where I'm not as confident as Radzhabov. These odds kind of confuse me a little bit. I mean, he's a solid fighter. I will say he's fought the much better competition. It's not even close. You know, the guy's fought in the PFL, and he's fought the much better guys, whereas Ribovics, he's fought nobody. He's very untested. He's 11-0, but you know, who has he fought? But Radzhabov's coming in here on short notice, which I don't know if I like that. He doesn't seem to have the best cardio in the world, so coming in on short notice, you know, about a week's notice, you know, what's he been doing? I don't know, that kind of concerns me a little bit, especially at this price tag. And Ribovics, you know, I went and watched all the tape on him, and there's not a ton you can take away. I mean, he's not fighting the best competition, but he's super dangerous. He's very, very dangerous on the ground, has multiple submissions. He threatens with submissions nonstop. And then on the feet, he just has a ton of power. He showed that off in the Contender Series when he went out there and got a finish in the very first round. But yeah, he's super dangerous. As far as Radzhabov, he's well-rounded. On the feet, he swings heavy, but his wrestling's very good. I have seen Ribovics taken down, so that could be a path to victory for Radzhabov. But the thing with Ribovics, when he's getting taken down, he's threatening with submissions. He's able to work his way back up each and every time, and he's going to be dangerous. And the thing with Ribovics is he's going to be dangerous for every single second of this fight. All 15 minutes, he's going to be there and being dangerous. He has multiple finishes in the third round. So maybe Radzhabov comes in here, has some success getting the fight down to the mat early, but is he going to be able to come out there and compete at this level, in this fight, for a full 15 minutes without slowing down, without getting caught in something? I'm not so sure. So I think I'm going to kick off the card with a dog. This is a fight where there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of question marks, really about both guys. With Radzhabov in terms of the short notice, right? And then with Ribovics in terms of this guy's fought nobody. I mean, he looks good, but he's fought nobody. So I'll take Ribovics to win this fight, though, and I'm going to take him to win this fight. I'm going to say second round knockout. I think eventually he does find something against Radzhabov here. So give me Ribovics to win. I'll take Ribovics to win by second round KO. All right. Moving on, we have Farid Basharat going against Damon Blackshear. We'll start with Basharat here, who is 25 years old, 5'8", with a 71-inch reach, 9-0, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. We got Damon Blackshear, 28 years old, 5'10", with a 72-inch reach, 12-4, and 4-0-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here, and you guessed it, Basharat is a very big favorite, opening up as a -350 favorite, currently -500, and then we have Blackshear opening up a +275 underdog, and he's currently +375. So yeah, we have Basharat as a really big favorite here. Yeah, and I went and watched this guy, and I remember him a little bit from taping him on the Contender Series, and yeah, this guy's good. This guy's very good. He's only 25 years old. Of course, as you guys know, his brother is Javid Basharat. Both these guys are training together. Both these guys training at a really good gym. Both these guys very good fighters, and yeah, he's super well-rounded. What really impressed me, honestly, was the striking and the tools he has on the feet. He has a very good head kick, very good question mark kick. He attacks the legs, attacks the body with those kicks as well. I think on the feet, he should be the much better striker here. And then also like the grappling, like Farid, he has good grappling. He has good offensive wrestling. When he gets on top, he has good control. The takedown defense, which this was important to me. I mean, in this matchup, the takedown defense looked really good. I've seen multiple people shoot on this guy, and I saw nobody have success taking him down. So that was nice to see. Looks to be very strong as well, and looks to have good cardio. Just a very well-rounded fighter. I think there's a reason this guy's -500. You know, should he be -500 against Blackshear? I don't think Blackshear's like terrible or nothing like that. I just think it's a very winnable matchup for Farid, and I just don't really see where Blackshear is going to pose many problems. Blackshear did make his debut. It was on short notice against Yusuf Zalal. It was a draw. A couple of the judges gave Blackshear rounds 1 and rounds 2, and then obviously it was a 10-8 for Zalal in the third round. But yeah, he did gas out super bad, and you know, we can forgive him a little bit for that because he did come in on short notice, but he does tend to slow down as the fights go on in general, I noticed. But yeah, for Blackshear to win this fight, I mean, he's not going to outstrike Basharat. For Blackshear to win this fight as a big dog, he's going to have to out-grapple him. He's going to have to take him down, and I just don't really see that happening. I think Basharat's going to be able to dictate where this fight takes place. I think that Basharat's going to be the better striker here by a decent margin, and I think Basharat can get takedowns if he wants them. So it's going to be Basharat for me. It's going to be Basharat to win this fight. I'll say by decision, and I think he gets it done here as a pretty big favorite. All right, moving on, we have the Baby Shark, Tabatha Ricci, going against Jessica Penne. We will start with Tabatha Ricci here, who is 28 years old, 5'1", with a 62-inch reach, 7-1 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Jessica Penne, 40 years old, 5'5", with a 67-inch reach, 14-6 and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here. Another big favorite, like this whole card. Ricci opening up -240, currently -265. Jessica Penne opening up +205, currently +225. So they were supposed to fight like a month and a half, like 2 months ago, and I could have swore like Ricci was like -160, -170. And now all of a sudden it's rebooked and really nothing's changed, and all of a sudden we have Tabatha Ricci -265. So yeah, I've been on Ricci in her last 2 fights. I bet on her last 2 fights against Maria Oliveira. She's a pretty big favorite. I bet on her there, and then I also bet on her as a slight favorite against VIviane, and she was able to go out there and win both those fights pretty convincingly. This is a trickier matchup, I'd say, but I mean, she's got to go out here and beat the 40-year-old in Jessica Penne, right? Like, Penne, 40 years old, on the feet, it's going to be ugly, to be honest. Like, Penne's going to have the reach, but I don't think either fighter's that good of a striker, but what they are is very good grapplers, both of them. Ricci, black belt in BJJ, and then Penne, also black belt in BJJ. Tabatha Ricci has done a lot of training with Mackenzie Dern. I'm not sure if they still train together, but she's been training with Mackenzie Dern nonetheless, which is good. But what I like about Tabatha Ricci the most, and why I think she's going to win this fight, is because she's going to be able to dictate where it takes place. Tabatha Ricci has a great ability to get the fight down to the mat. Her wrestling's really good. Her judo's really good. She can get fights down to the mat when she wants. And the thing with Jessica Penne is, you know, she's going to welcome that. I mean, Jessica Penne is going to welcome a grappling fight because she's a grappler by trade, and she has no takedown defense. Jessica Penne has a 40% takedown defense. So if Tabatha Ricci wants to get the fight down to the mat, which she's going to want to, she'll have no problem taking down Jessica Penne. She's just going to have to mind her P's and Q's. Like, Penne's, she's long for the division. She's very tricky on the mat, but I think Ricci's going to be fine. I mean, Ricci was able to stay safe out of trouble against VIviane, and VIviane's super dangerous on the mat. Unless Penne like catches her in something, I think this is a good matchup for Ricci here. So I'm going to take Ricci to win this fight. I'm going to take her to win this fight by decision. Just mixing in the takedowns. Striking should be close, but I do think this fight does primarily play out on the mat with Ricci on top. Give me Tabatha Ricci to win this fight. Give me Tabatha Ricci to win this fight by decision. All right, moving on to an absolute banger. This fight's going to be fun. This fight's going to be very fun. We have Cameron Saaiman going against Martinez. We got Saaiman, 22 years old, 5'8", with a 67-inch reach, 7-0 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Martinez, 26 years old, 5'10", with a 70-inch reach, 10-3 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So we will take a look at the odds, and we will see that we have Cameron Saaiman as a big favorite, opening up -180, currently -300. Martinez opening up +255, currently +250 here. And yeah, so I think this fight's going to be very fun. Cameron Saaiman training with Dricus du Plessis, who's also on this card, who we'll also talk about. But yeah, the dude's only 22 years old, and it may not look like it when you look at this guy, but this guy's a killer, man. This guy is good. I like this guy quite a bit. He did run into a little bit of trouble in his debut against Kozlo, where Kozlo was able to take him down and maybe exploited, you know, some holes in the game of Cameron Saaiman at this point. But just a pretty much different matchup here against Martinez, where Martinez, he's not going to go out there, and maybe he'll mix in takedowns here or there, but I don't see him having much success here against Cameron Saaiman. I'm kind of like disappointed a little bit in Martinez, because I actually had some high hopes for this guy. Like, you go and watch Martinez's tape outside the UFC, and he's starching dudes early in the first round, in the first like 60 seconds of the first round, and he's knocking out good guys. He knocked out Ricky Turcios, he knocked out Jose Johnson. Like, he's knocking out super good guys. And then he goes to the Contender Series against Draker Rodriguez. He gets subbed in the first round. He fights a 42-year-old Guido Canetti. barely wins that fight, arguably loses. I mean, looks lackluster against Brandon Davis's last time out in a win. Loses to Ronnie Lawrence, getting dropped 3 times by Ronnie Lawrence, the wrestler. I mean, Mana Martinez is just not who I really thought he was going to be coming into the UFC. He has changed gyms. He was working out with James Krause at Glory MMA and Fitness, but he's moved out of there. Obviously, I'm not actually sure where he's working out of now. I think it's somewhere in Texas, maybe, but was not able to find the exact gym that Mana Martinez is at. But regardless, he's not with Glory MMA anymore. But yeah, in this matchup, it's tricky because Cameron Saaiman, I don't think he's like the best fighter in the world, but what he does do very well is he has really good cardio. He's going to have the better cardio in this matchup. Really good volume, really good pressure, really good pace, and he kind of breaks guys like we saw in his Contender Series fight, got a 3rd round knockout, and then also in the Kozlov fight, got a 3rd round knockout, and that's because he can go the full 15 no problem. He doesn't gas out, he doesn't tire out, and when he hurts you, he swarms you. This guy is an absolute killer, honestly. And like I said, it may not look like it, but this guy is super dangerous. And Mana Martinez is dangerous as well. He has a lot of power. Mana Martinez has like 4 knockdowns in only like 3 UFC fights. So Mana Martinez has a lot of power, so I don't want to completely count him out here. But, as the fight does get extended, we do see Mana Martinez, the volume lowers a little bit. The power wanes a little bit. Whereas Cameron Saaiman, he seems to get better and better as that fight goes on. So I think somebody honestly probably gets knocked out here. I think both guys have power, but I got to trust Saaiman here. Am I going to trust him at minus 300? No, absolutely not. But I'm going to trust him to be the fresher guy as the fight goes on. And I think he can kind of break Mana Martinez here. We've seen Mana Martinez dropped a few times by Ronnie Lawrence. I think Saaiman hits much, much harder than Ronnie Lawrence. I'm going to say Saaiman gets Mana Martinez out of here in the 3rd round. I'm curious to see if either guy goes to their grappling, though. Because Mana Martinez has showed a massive hole in his game in terms of the takedown defense and the grappling. And we saw Cameron Saaiman struggle a little bit against Kozlov in his last fight. So I'm curious to see if either guy does go that route. But I think this fight does primarily play out on the feet. I think it's going to be fun. I think they're going to stand and bang. But give me Cameron Saaiman to get this fight done inside the distance in that 3rd round. Should be a very fun fight there. All right. Next, we have Ian Machado Garry going against Song Kenan. We have Garry, who is 25 years old, 6'3" with a 74-inch reach, 10-0, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. We got Song, 32 years old, 6 foot with a 71.5-inch reach, 19-6, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Ian Garry, one of the biggest favorites on the card, I believe the 2nd biggest favorite at this moment. We have Garry sitting as a minus 650 favorite, and we have Song sitting at a plus 475 underdog. So, yeah. Garry a big favorite here. There's a lot of hype on the guy, and for a very good reason, but minus 650 for Ian Garry. Looking at it initially, I was like, who the heck is laying minus 600 on Ian Garry? But after looking into the matchup, I think Garry should win this fight and win this fight pretty comfortably. Garry should have the advantage everywhere here. I remember watching this guy prior to his debut against Jordan Williams, and I had a big bet on Garry in that Jordan Williams fight. And I remember watching this guy and thinking, man, this guy's like only 23, 24 years old. He's a very good striker. He has the volume, the footwork, the speed. He has the size. He has good wrestling, offensively, defensively, really good grappling as well. Just a very well-rounded fighter. The one knock on Ian Garry, for me, though, was the strike and defense. I mean, he has that strike and defense where he relies a lot on that head movement. He can leave his chin up in the air at times, his hands down at times, and he can get clipped. And we saw that in the Jordan Williams fight. Jordan Williams landed some shots on him. He was busted up a little bit in that first round, but he was able to knock out Jordan Williams at the end of the first there, which was nice. But, the strike and defense is something that does concern me a little bit going forward, but he's training at Killcliff FC. He's training with really good guys, really good coaches. I think he's going to keep making improvements at only 25 years old. Song Kenan, this guy's a brawler. He's going to want to try to probably knock out Ian Garry. We've not seen him in a long time, though. The last time we saw Song Kenan was against Max Griffin back like early 2021, and he went out there and got starched by Max Griffin, which was not a good look whatsoever. Now he's taken like a couple of years off. He's coming back now at 32 years old against a young, hungry prospect that a lot of people are excited about in Ian Garry. It just seems like a tough matchup for the guy. I mean, Garry is going to have, like I said, the advantage everywhere. On the feet, he's going to be the faster fighter, more volume, probably even more power. Kenan has power in his own right, but hard to see him touching up Garry here in this matchup. And then on top of that, like Garry, if he wants to, we have not seen it in the UFC, which I think that could change here, but we have not seen that wrestling, that grappling he has. He has really good grappling. I would not mind seeing him go out there and take down Song here and implement that grappling game as well. Like we've seen Song taken down, we've seen him struggle on the mat before and stuck on his back. Why can't Garry go out there and win minutes with the wrestling as well? So I just think Garry has multiple paths to victory here. I think is a big favorite for a reason. I think Kenan, for him to win, it's a knockout. It's a puncher's chance here for Kenan, but the 2-year layoff. He's the older fighter. He's the smaller fighter. I think they're kind of setting Garry up here. I think they're trying to build him up a little bit. I think Garry wins this fight. I'll say he wins this fight. I'll say like a second round knockout. I'll say he knocks out Kenan in the second round. All right, moving on to the next fight. We have Marc-Andre Barriault going against Julian Marquez. We got Marc-Andre Barriault, who is 33 years old, 6'1" with a 74-inch reach, 14-6 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Julian Marquez, he is 32 years old, 6'2" with a 72-inch reach, 9-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So this is one of the more closely lined fights on the card. We have Marc-Andre Barriault actually open up as a dog, plus 128, currently sitting at minus 145. And then we got Julian Marquez opening up as the favorite, open up at minus 148, currently at plus 126. And yeah, I think it's one of the closer matchups on the card. I think I have to favor Barriault, and I think I have to agree with these odds. I think they're perfect. Like Barriault, slight favorite, makes a ton of sense to me. The reason being is I think he's the better fighter here. I think he's going to have the more volume on the feet. I think he's going to have the better cardio as well. And I think if he wants to, he can take this fight down to the mat. I mean, Marc-Andre Barriault has shown only like 1 or 2 takedowns thus far in the UFC, but if he's going to go for takedowns, now's the time to do it. Maki Pitolo went out there and ragdolled Julian Marquez. Maki Pitolo did. So if Maki Pitolo can do it, Marc-Andre Barriault can do it as well. So I think that's another path to victory for Barriault, but I think these guys are primarily going to strike here. And like I said, on the feet, it's going to be Barriault with that volume, with the cardio, the pressure, the pace that he brings, with that toughness that he brings as well. And it's going to be Julian Marquez who is willing to eat one to give one, not the most defensively sound fighter, but what he does have and the advantage he does have is the power. Julian Marquez is going to the much more powerful striker in this matchup, and we have seen Barriault knocked out only once, but it was by Chidi and Jaquani, and it was in the first 16 seconds, something like that. So yeah, maybe Marquez can hurt Barriault here, but in terms of minute winning and why I do favor Barriault, I think he's going to be the minute winner. I think he can be the minute winner on the feet with the volume, and I think he can be the minute winner on the mat with the wrestling as well. So just a lot more paths to victory for Marc-Andre Barriault, but I don't want to completely roll out Julian Marquez here because he's so dangerous. He has a lot of power. He has a really good submission game. The dude has 9 wins, all 9 of them coming inside the distance. So the pick for me is going to be Marc-Andre Barriault, and it's going to be Marc-Andre Barriault by decision. But Julian Marquez, he's a dangerous guy. He's going to have his opportunities. He's going to land some big shots. As long as Barriault's durability holds up, which it usually always has, I think Barriault should win this fight by decision. So I'll take Barriault to win this fight. I'll take him to win it by decision. Moving on, a couple more fights on these prelims. We've got a stacked prelim card here. Amanda Ribas going against VIviane Araujo. We will start with Amanda Ribas, who is 29 years old, 5'3" with a 66-inch reach, 10-3 and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. VIviane Araujo, 36 years old, 5'4" with a 68-inch reach, 11-4 and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Closest lined fight on the card. We have Amanda Ribas opening up as a pick'em, minus 110, currently minus 120. VIviane Araujo opening up as a pick'em, minus 110, currently plus 100. So, I lean Araujo here. I really do. So Araujo, she's 36 years old. She's 7 years older. I don't love that. But in this matchup, what VIviane Araujo does really good, first of all, she has a 90% takedown defense. I think that's going to pay dividends here against Amanda Ribas. On the feet, it should be VIviane Araujo being the much better striker, right? And not saying Ribas is a terrible striker or nothing like that, but it should be VIviane having that striking advantage. The reason why I can never have any confidence on VIviane is because of the cardio. And at this point, she's now 36 years old at flyweight. I don't like that either, but especially the cardio. I mean, in a lot of fights, she's looking good early. Like early on, VIviane looks incredible. It's just as the fight goes on, she tends to slow down. After that 1.5 round mark, after that 2 rounds, in that 3rd round, she looks tired. She looks sloppy. She slows down a lot. Like if she had good cardio, this would be VIviane all day for me, just because I think she has the takedown defense to keep it up on the feet. I think she could actually take down Ribas as well if she wants to. She's going to be the bigger fighter. She's going to be the more natural flyweight, where we've seen Ribas fight at strawweight. It's just, this fight's going to be close because VIviane's probably going to look very good early on, but as that fight reaches that late 2nd round, that 3rd round, she's probably going to start slowing down, whereas Ribas is not. So it's one of those matchups where I think VIviane's going to do just enough to win those first 2 rounds, maybe cruise in the 3rd, and maybe Ribas wins that 3rd. So I'm going to say 29-28 decision for VIviane Araujo, but I can't trust somebody who I'm pretty certain is going to slow down at some point in this fight, because we've just seen it so many times, and it's costed her so many times. Like in that Jukagan fight, she was looking phenomenal. I thought she actually won the fight, but it was a bad look, getting pieced up in the last part of that 2nd round, getting pieced up in the entire 3rd round, just tired in that matchup. So not something you could be extremely confident in, but I will take VIviane Araujo to win this fight by 29-28 decision in this one. Closest fight on the card in terms of the line, and I agree with that. It should be a close fight here. All right, next we have Dricus du Plessis going against Derek Brunson. Yeah, cannot wait for this fight. This fight's going to be phenomenal. We have Dricus du Plessis, 29 years old, 6'1" with a 76-inch reach, 18-2, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Derek Brunson, 39 years old, 6'1", with a 77-inch reach, 23-8, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. We have Dricus opening up -150, currently -220. Derek Brunson opening up +130, currently +185. So Derek Brunson was mentioning retirement a couple fights ago. He said I think he only had like a couple fights left he wanted to do, and that was like a couple fights ago. So this may be his retirement fight. Maybe he has one more after this, but never a good sign when fighters start to talk about retirement, right? And he's 39 years old, which, it's definitely getting up there. At middleweight, it's not like the end of the world, but I mean, that's, he's getting up there. He's taken a ton of damage throughout his career. I mean, the guy has like 5 or 6 knockout losses. The chin has been extremely iffy, especially as of late. Yeah, so he has 6 knockout losses. So he's getting up there in age. The chin's not great. The cardio, in some fights, it looks really good. And then in some fights, it looks really bad. Like against Cannonier, I don't know what was up with Brunson that night. And I had a bet on Cannonier, but, Brunson, he was tiring out like late 1st round, 2nd round. He looked just completely exhausted. I don't know if that's the age catching up with him or what, but Brunson looked off in that Cannonier fight. And if he shows up looking like that, I mean, he's gonna get smoked here. The thing with this matchup is Dricus, I don't think he's the best fighter in the world, but what he is he's a dog, man. He's dangerous, and he's dangerous in all 3 rounds. He has knockout ability, lots of power, and he has submission ability. Really good sub game. And the thing with Dricus is, this guy gets tired like in the 1st round. Like in every 1st round, his mouth is wide open. He looks sluggish, but it's like every single time he gets a second wind and he's able to fight through the entire fight, and still be dangerous, right? Like he has multiple finishes in the 2nd round and 3rd round, and he's dangerous really at all times, even though he is looking tired. So, and it's a weird match because there's not a lot of tape on in terms of the takedown defense of du Plessis, because we know for a fact Brunson's going to wrestle here. If he doesn't, he's getting knocked out in 60 seconds. Brunson is going to wrestle, especially at this point in his career, he's going to wrestle. But there's not a lot of tape in terms of Dricus and his takedown defense. The tape we do see in terms of his takedown defense, it doesn't look good. He's getting taken down. I've seen him, subbed. I've seen him, knocked out. But those fights were a long, long time ago. So we have not seen that takedown defense tested in a while. I think he has had 2 takedowns shot in him in the UFC, one of which was completed against by Darren Till. Not the best look in the world, but we haven't seen a ton of guys really try to take this guy down as of late. So he's only 29, I think. I think he's probably worked on that part of his game. But, I think Brunson probably does have success, honestly, in terms of taking down Dricus du Plessis. But for Brunson to win this fight, he's going to have to fight a perfect game plan for 15 minutes. No mistakes. For Brunson to win this fight, he's going to have to take down Dricus du Plessis consistently and hold him down for 15 minutes. And I just think at some point, Dricus is going to land something big. At some point, they're going to be at range. At some point, Dricus is going to land a big shot, and Brunson's chin is not going to hold up. So I actually think Brunson can maybe have some success at some point in this fight. It's just, I don't really see him taking down and holding down du Plessis for 15 minutes without, du Plessis landing a big shot at some point. Every round starts on the feet. And like I said, Brunson's cardio looked off in that Cannonier fight, and he's talking about retirement, how serious is he taking this camp? If Brunson does not show up in here, 100%, 110%, in the best shape, right? Like, it could be bad because both guys are going to get tired. But the difference is when Dricus du Plessis gets tired, he can fight through that. He's still dangerous when he's tired, whereas if Brunson gets tired, I have serious concerns for him in this matchup. So I'm going to take Dricus to win this fight. I'm going to say he does eventually catch Brunson on the feet. I'm going to say he knocks out Brunson in the second round here, but it should be a very, very fun matchup. All right. Featured prelim for UFC 285. We have Cody Garbrandt going against Trevin Jones. We'll start with Garbrandt here. He's 31 years old, 5'8" with a 65.5-inch reach, 12-5 and 1-4 in his last 5 fights. Trevin Jones, 32 years old, 5'7" with a 70-inch reach, 13-9 and 1-3 and 1 no contest in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here. Garbrandt's the favorite. Open up -150, currently -170. Jones the dog, opening up +130, currently +145. This is the most frustrating fight on the card for me. The most frustrating fight. The reason being is this should be Cody Garbrandt all day, every day. Shouldn't be close. Cody's the much better fighter by a mile. These guys are on completely different levels. Cody should go out there and make this guy look silly. But, and there's a big but, the chin, man. The chin. The durability. The confidence. Cody's the better fighter. I mean, Trevin Jones, he's shown one thing at the UFC level. Power. And that one thing could be enough to beat Cody here, right? But it's weird with Trevin Jones. The guy has 13 wins. I think he only has like 3 wins by knockout. Like, the guy was not some murderous power puncher outside the UFC, but he comes into the UFC and all of a sudden this guy has next level power, knocking out Timur Valiev, knocking out Mario Batista. 2 very impressive wins for Trevin Jones. But other than those knockouts, I mean, he looks bad. I mean, he's super low volume. He doesn't have the best cardio. He lands like 2 strikes per minute. He does nothing in there. But when he does land, he's been landing hard. He's been putting these guys out. He's been pulling off big upsets. Against Mario Batista, he's a massive dog. Against Timur Valiev, Valiev was like -600 in that fight. So it's a frustrating match because I feel like this should be Cody Garbrandt easily. Like, Cody Garbrandt is going to be the faster fighter. Probably even more power, to be honest. He's going to have the more volume easily. He's going to have all the wrestling upside. Cody Garbrandt's been going to that wrestling as of late. We saw him go out there and take down Rob Font a couple times. Even try to take down Kai Kara France. I think Cody can wrestle here. We saw Trevin Jones taken down multiple times thus far in the UFC. So, yeah, Cody might wrestle here. But, yeah, Cody is going to be the minute winner in this matchup. No doubt about it. Trevin Jones isn't winning minutes really against anybody in the UFC at this level. It's just Cody Garbrandt cannot get hit for 15 minutes, man. And it's tough. It's tough. I don't hate anybody taking the shot on Jones as a dog here because he has, the path to victory is right there. It's just, I gotta go with who I think is the better fighter. Not only the better fighter, but the better fighter by a mile. It's not even close. And Cody, people are talking about being washed and all that. He's only 31 years old. Is he washed? No. Does he have a chin? No. And that's the big dilemma in this matchup. It's pretty it's a pretty intriguing matchup. Probably the most intriguing matchup on the card because we have Cody Garbrandt, who has no durability, and he's taken on Trevin Jones, who's shown power. And Trevin Jones has durability. Trevin Jones, 21 wins. Never been knocked out. Never been knocked out for what it's worth. Cody Garbrandt, 5 losses, 4 by knockout. But, I mean, let's take a look at who he's getting knocked out by, and maybe we can forgive him a little. I mean, he got knocked out by Kai Kara-France. He got knocked out by Pedro Munoz, and then TJ Dillashaw twice. So, yes, he's getting knocked out, but he's getting knocked out by some of the best guys in the division. So, and Trevin Jones does not fit that build. I mean, Trevin Jones is not the best guy in the division or anywhere close to it. I don't think he's the best fighter in the world, but he has power, and we'll see what happens. But give me Cody here. I'm going to take Cody to win this fight by decision, but if Trevin Jones knocks him out, would that surprise anybody? No, it shouldn't, but give me Cody Garbrandt to win the minutes here and win this fight by decision. All right. Main card opener. If you have not, be sure to smash the like button. Let's try to get to 500 likes for this show, but we have Bo Nickal going against Jamie Pickett. And we have Bo Nickal, 27 years old, 6'1", with a 76-inch reach, 3-0, and only 3-0 in his only 3 fights. We got Jamie Pickett, 34 years old, 6'2", with an 80-inch reach, 13-8, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and we have, I think, the biggest favorite of the year, and one of the biggest favorites of all time in Bo Nickal. So Bo Nickal opened up around minus 1,000, and he's currently, believe it or not, sitting at minus 2,000 right now. We got Jamie Pickett opening up around plus 900, and he's currently sitting at plus 1,100. Yes, those numbers are correct. That is not a typo. There's a lot of hype on Bo Nickal. And rightfully so. Absolutely rightfully so. This guy is a next-level wrestler. The wrestling credentials are off the chart. He's been working on the grappling as well. Showed great submission ability on the Contender Series. I believe officially, I think is a blue belt or a purple belt at this point, but the grappling looks incredible. On top of that, he's shown power, knocking out his opponent in the first round in his first ever professional MMA fight. Knocked the dude out in like 60 seconds. Showed power. So he has the wrestling. He has the grappling. He has the striking. He has the power. Bo Nickal seems to be the real deal, the entire package here. And I mean, we see what the UFC is doing, right? I mean, they're going to try to build up Bo Nickal a little slowly here, right? So they're giving him Jamie Pickett. Like, why? Who sanctioned this fight? I mean, this is going to be bad. Jamie Pickett. I don't know. I mean, he's big for the division. And that's about it. Jamie Pickett on the feet, like he's long, he's rangy. When he lets his hands go, Jamie Pickett's a solid striker. It's just he doesn't do that. Jamie Pickett, doesn't really throw anything on the feet. He can be very hesitant at times. I really question, the takedown defense of Pickett. I question the submission defense of Pickett. He's been submitted by, Charles Byrd a couple years ago. I don't see where Jamie Pickett poses many issues here for Bo Nickal, and that's why we see the odds where they're at, right? But Jamie Pickett getting knocked out and just dominated by Dennis Tuoluen, and twice in that fight, because Dennis landed, I think it was either like a kick or a punch to the body. I was pretty sure it was to the body, but they said it was a low blow. Thought that could have finished the fight, and then Dennis Tuoluen went out there and knocked out Pickett officially at the end of the second round. So yeah, this is Pickett who, at one point, I actually liked the durability of Jamie Pickett. I mean, at one point I was like, this guy's super durable. I like this guy's durability. And then he goes in there and gets just starched by Jordan Wright. Jordan Wright starched Jamie Pickett. I mean, if Jordan Wright is starching you in a minute, what's Bo Nickal going to do? So I mean, this is Bo Nickal all day. I mean, we've seen Jamie Pickett taken down. We've seen him sub. We saw Dawkins sub him. We saw Punahele Soriano, who doesn't wrestle anybody, go out there and have success wrestling this guy. Bo Nickal should have success anywhere it goes. If he wants to strike with him, he could. I mean, just because Jamie Pickett's probably not going to throw anything, he can knock out Pickett. But if he wants to take down Pickett, he can. And if he wants to submit Pickett, he can. I mean, this is Bo Nickal in the first round. First round by submission. Welcome to the UFC, Bo Nickal. They're giving you a kind of a freebie here. But I'm curious to see where Bo Nickal does go from here. Minus 2,000 favorite, and honestly, that might even get wider. Hard to argue the odds. Really hard to argue the odds. I mean, for Jamie Pickett to win this fight, he's probably going to have to bank on surviving 7.5 minutes and just hope Bo Nickal gasses out, because we've never seen Bo Nickal past like 2 minutes. So, but I think Bo Nickal make quick work of him, potentially in 60 seconds or less. So we'll see. Bo Nickal, for me, Bo Nickal first round submission. Welcome to the UFC, Bo Nickal. All right. We'll move on to the next fight. We have a short notice replacement in Mateusz Garbrandt, and he's taking on Jalen Turner. Great fight here. We got Mateusz Garbrandt, 32 years old, 5'10", with a 70.5-inch reach, 21-2 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Jalen Turner, 27 years old, 6'3", with a 75.5-inch reach, 13-5 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. I'll take a look at the odds here. A little surprising, but we have Garbrandt opening up -240, currently -210. Jalen Turner opening up +205, currently +180. The reason those odds surprised me is because there's a lot of hype on Jalen Turner. People really like this guy, including me. This guy is 6'3" in the lightweight division. He has a ton of power. BJJ brown belt, I believe. So he's dangerous anywhere the fight goes. Lots of reasons to like Jalen Turner. He was supposed to be fighting Dan Hooker, which I loved Turner in that matchup. I thought he was going to go out there and probably starch Dan Hooker, but man, what a turn of events. Mateusz Garbrandt, he's coming in here on short notice. Honestly, this is a bad matchup for Jalen Turner. Really bad matchup. Mateusz Garbrandt, this guy's really good. Went back and watched a lot of Gamrot's fights, and he's well-rounded. He's a solid striker, although he's not going to really want to strike much with Turner in this matchup. What he's going to want to do is take the fight down to the mat. But he is striking solid, solid power as well. He knocked out Scott Holtzman. Also had that knockout win against Carlos Diego Ferreira where he landed a knee and got him out of there in that second round. But yeah, where he's going to want to win this fight is going to be in the wrestling, right? Mateusz Garbrandt, this guy is a wrestling machine. Landing 4.66 takedowns per 15 minutes. The guy has attempted like around 70 takedowns thus far in like 6 UFC fights. He's attempted like 70-something. So I know for a fact that Mateusz Garbrandt is going to come in here, and he's going to come in here trying to wrestle. And that worries me for Jalen Turner, because Jalen Turner, I don't think the takedown defense is amazing. On paper, it's solid. I think it's like 77%. But we did see Jamie Malarkey take him down and control him at the end of the first round of their fight. And then that Matt Frevola fight, it was a couple years ago, and I think Turner has improved since then. But the Matt Frevola fight wasn't the best look, getting taken down left and right by Matt Frevola multiple times. And Gamrot's going to be the best wrestler that Turner has fought by a mile. Gamrot's wrestling is very good. And what's even better about Garbrandt is the fact that he attempts a ton of takedowns. So he's going to probably attempt upwards of 20 takedowns in this matchup, and he has the cardio to do it. So yeah, I think it's a rough matchup for Jalen Turner. I think for Jalen Turner to win this fight, it's going to have to be by knockout. Garbrandt, for what it's worth, has never been knocked out. Both his losses by a decision, one by Beneil Dariush, and then one by that Cody Deladze guy, which I thought Garbrandt probably won that fight. So yeah, I think it's a tough match for Jalen Turner. I mean, like I said, I'm a big Jalen Turner fan like everybody else, but it's just hard to pick him in this matchup for me personally. So I'm going to take Mateusz Garbrandt to win this fight. I'm going to take him to win this fight. I'll say by decision. I could see potential TKO or submission for Garbrandt at some point, but I'll say decision win for Mateusz Garbrandt, mixing in those takedowns and winning the minutes on the mat with Turner off his back. All right, moving on. We have 3 fights left. 3 great fights left. We have Shavkat Rakhmonov going against Geoff Neal. We got Shavkat Rakhmonov, 28 years old, 6'1", with a 77-inch reach, 16-0 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Geoff Neal, 32 years old, 5'11", with a 75-inch reach, 15-4 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Shavkat Rakhmonov, one of the biggest favorites on the card, on a card full of a lot of big favorites. We have Shavkat Rakhmonov currently sitting around like -500. And Geoff Neal currently sitting around that plus 375 range. All right. It's weird, man. It's weird seeing Geoff Neal as a plus 375 underdog. Like, Geoff Neal is a really good fighter. And there was a stretch where I was really worried about Geoff Neal. Like, Geoff Neal, it was like a 2-fight stretch where Geoff Neal just looked awful. He looked awful against Neil Magny. He looked awful against Stephen Thompson. Like, even against Ponzinibbio, he didn't look the best. but he was dealing with like some serious health issues outside the cage. So I didn't know if we were ever going to get that old, Jeff Neal, the Jeff Neal that's going out there, destroying guys, looking phenomenal. The Jeff Neal that knocked down Belal Muhammad twice, stuffed all his takedowns and beat him. The Jeff Neal that, knocked out Nico Price, Mike Perry in a round. The Jeff Neal that destroyed Frank Camacho. I didn't know if we were ever going to get that Jeff Neal back, but that Jeff Neal came back against Vicente Luque last time out. That was the best version we've seen of Jeff Neal. Nobody, and I mean nobody, goes out there and knocks out Vicente Luque. Luque's chin has always been next level. Nobody's been able to knock this guy out. But Jeff Neal gives Vicente Luque his first ever knockout loss. Jeff Neal went out there, he landed a ton of volume, he pressured, and he broke Vicente Luque. Nobody does that. So you gotta credit Jeff Neal. I mean, Jeff Neal's a really good fighter. On paper, he has really good takedown defense. In terms of the striking, he has a lot of volume, a lot of power, solid cardio. Lots of reasons to like Jeff Neal. The one problem in this matchup for Jeff Neal is he's fighting Shavkat Rakhmonov. That's the big problem, right? Shavkat Rakhmonov, this guy is the real deal. 16-0, 8 wins by knockout, 8 wins by submission. He's dangerous everywhere. He's big for the division. He's going to have a 2-inch height advantage. He's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. He has power on the feet, has a very good submission game. He has the wrestling. Shavkat Rakhmonov is the goods. But even then, right, like, although Shavkat Rakhmonov's phenomenal, I still think Jeff Neal's getting counted out a little bit. But the reason I got to go with Shavkat here is, Shavkat is going to want to get this fight down to the mat. And if he does, I think he's going to probably finish this fight. We saw Jeff Neal get taken down multiple times by Neil Magny. And again, was Neal like 100% in that matchup? I'm not so sure. He looked bad, but getting taken down twice and controlled on the mat by Neil Magny is just not a great look. Like, if Shavkat gets you down, there's going to be serious problems here. So yeah, Neal's takedown defense is good, but I do think Shavkat does get him down and get him down consistently. Maybe Neal pops back up here and there, but at some point I do see Shavkat taking him down and locking something up on the mat. So I like Shavkat by submission. If for some reason Shavkat is not able to take this fight down to the mat, which I think he does. I mean, if Neil Magny can do it, I think Shavkat can. But if Shavkat cannot take this fight down to the mat, it's going to get real interesting real fast. But I do lean towards Shavkat getting those takedowns, getting on top, whether it's a TKO, whether it's a submission. I like Shavkat to win this fight. I'll say second round submission win for Shavkat Rakhmonov. Cannot wait for this fight. All right. Co-main event. We got Valentina Shevchenko going against Alexa Grasso. We will start with Valentina Shevchenko, who is 34 years old, 5'5", with a 65.5-inch reach, 23-3, and 5-0 in her last 5 fights. Alexa Grasso, 29 years old, 5'5", with a 66-inch reach, 15-3, and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Take a look at the odds here. You guessed it. Valentina, third biggest favorite on the card. Opened at minus 550, currently minus 625. And Grasso opened up plus 400, currently plus 450. I don't mind watching Valentina, but this matchup really doesn't interest me much. I would have liked to see Valentina rematch Taila Santos, actually. Like, I went back to watch that Santos fight, and man, I think Santos probably won that fight. I gave Santos the first, second, and third round. The fourth round was close, and then the fifth round was Valentina. Competitive fight, don't get me wrong, but I mean, it was not the best look in the world. So to see her not give Taila Santos the rematch was kind of weird to me. And then, Alexa Grasso coming in here and getting the title shot is kind of weird to me. And I know people are going to be looking to fade Valentina, right? Like, maybe she's slowing down. Maybe she's getting up there in age. She's 34 years old. Maybe we've seen the end of Valentina as the champion in the very near future. And people are probably going to try to fade her, right? I would recommend not doing that in this matchup. Taila Santos, I think if they fight again, I think Taila Santos can really pull off the upset. But this is a completely different matchup. Taila Santos and Alexa Grasso are completely different fighters. So although Santos had success against Valentina, almost beat her, arguably did, that does not mean Grasso is going to come in here and pull off the upset. Grasso is nothing like Taila Santos. Grasso is much smaller than Taila Santos. Grasso does not have the wrestling, the grappling, the strength of Taila Santos. Completely different matchup. So let's get that out of the way. This is Valentina all day. Valentina's going to be the better striker. Grasso is going to have her most success in the striking, but Valentina is going to have more tools on the feet. Defensively, Valentina's phenomenal. She's very hard to hit. But where Valentina wins this fight and where she dominates this fight, quite frankly, is going to be in the grappling. We have seen Alexa Grasso struggle with the grappling in the past. Against fighters like, we saw Macy Barber have a little bit of success against Grasso, but, against Carla Esparza was able to take her down, control her. She did get finished early on by Tatiana Suarez. This was down a weight class, but, we've seen that Valentina Shevchenko can get fights down to the mat. Like, that Andrade fight was an eye-opener. When Valentina just ragdolled Andrade, took her down like 8 times, just dominated her on the mat. That was an eye-opener. Like, I think she can do that to Grasso. I think she can take down Grasso at will, get on top, and I think once she is on top, she's nasty. She gets that crucifix position. We saw her get that against Andrade. We saw her get it against Priscilla Cachoeira as well, and she can finish the fight. She can do damage. She's a really good grappler. So, although I do think Grasso has made improvements in the grappling, we've seen that. I mean, she submitted Joanne Wood. That was nice, but Valentina Shevchenko is not Joanne Wood. Valentina Shevchenko is Valentina Shevchenko. So this is Valentina for me. This is Valentina pretty much all day. Like, for Valentina to lose this fight, she's going to have to not grapple at all, which would be an interesting game plan. And Grasso would have to outstrike Valentina in 3 out of the 5 rounds. I just can't wrap my head around that happening. So unless Valentina is on a really big decline and she's washed, which I don't think that's the case at all. I just think it was Taila Santos is a really good fighter. Unless she is washed, I see this being Valentina pretty much all day, every day. So give me Valentina Shevchenko. The time to fade her, it will be coming soon. But Grasso, come on. I don't see it. So give me Valentina Shevchenko to win this fight. Give me Valentina Shevchenko to win this fight. I'll say 3rd round TKO for Valentina Shevchenko. If she wants to, she can dominate this fight and finish it. So give me Shevchenko for the dub there. All right. Main event. If you guys have not already, be sure to comment down the combined significant strikes for Jon Jones, Ciryl Gane, $25 the first. And if you do hit it on the dot, I'm going to double that price for you guys this week. All right. Jon Jones, Ciryl Gane, main event. Cannot wait for this fight. As soon as I saw this fight was booked, I was like, I'm going to Vegas to watch this fight. I'm going to watch the return of Jon Jones. Big fan of Jon Jones, always have been. I know a lot of people don't like the guy, but the guy's a really good fighter. And so is Ciryl Gane. This matchup's really good. So we'll start with Jon Jones. Jon Jones, 35 years old, 6'4", with an 84.5-inch reach, 26-1, and 4-0-1 no contest in his last 5 fights. Ciryl Gane, 32 years old, 6'4", with an 81-inch reach, 11-1, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. Very interesting line movement. Jon Jones opened up -125, currently -155. Ciryl Gane opened up +105, currently +135. On FanDuel Sportsbook, actually, they opened up Jon Jones like +140, +130. And I know a lot of people that got that Jones dog ticket, which, wish I would have been on that. But where the price is now, I think I'm going to pass. So I broke this fight down on my channel. I did a more kind of in-depth breakdown on it. If you have not checked it out, be sure to check it out. I posted it on Sunday. But the summary of it is, this is a sketchy fight. This is a great fight. I love this fight as a fan. But in terms of betting this fight, I would caution anybody in doing so. There are just so many red flags with this fight. So many question marks with this fight. I mean, let's get into them. Like Jon Jones, he's now 35 years old, which at heavyweight, that's not the end of the world at all. Even at light heavyweight, it's not at the end of the world at all. We saw Glover Teixeira, 41 years old, go out there and win a championship. So the age is not a huge concern. What is a concern to me, though, is the layoff. Jon Jones has not fought in 3 years. He has not fought in 3 years. That's a concern. The other concern is, there's kind of like a bad taste left in my mouth with some of these Jones performances, man. Like against Dominic Reyes, he went out there and a lot of people thought he lost the fight. I scored it for Jones, personally, but if you told me you think Dominic Reyes won that fight, I would not argue with you one bit because it was super close. Jones looked lackluster. He got outstruck 23-17 in the first round by Dominic Reyes. Got outstruck 33-22 in the second, 26-19 in the third. 0 for 2 on takedowns. He wins the fourth and the fifth, but those first three, they could have very well went to Dominic Reyes. And what has Dominic Reyes done since then? Knocked out by Jan Blachowicz. Knocked out by Yuri Prochazka. Knocked out by Ryan Spann. I don't even know if Dominic Reyes is on the UFC roster anymore. And then before that, Jon Jones went out there against Thiago Santos, a matchup where he was like minus 1,000, something crazy like that. And he went out there, and a lot of people thought that Santos won the fight. It was a split decision. One of the judges thought that Thiago Santos won the fight. I personally, again, scored it for Jon Jones, but it was a lot closer than it needed to be. So not only has Jon Jones not fought in 3 years, but the last two performances we've seen, even like the last three, they've been lackluster. Like against Anthony Smith, Jones could have arguably lost that fight just due to the fact that he kicked Anthony Smith in the face while he was laying on the ground, for one. Herb Dean did not say a word about it. And then two, I think it was the fourth or fifth round where Jon Jones kneed Anthony Smith in the head while he had an arm down. Herb Dean took 2 points for that. So that could have been a DQ if Anthony Smith wanted to take the easy way out there, but he didn't. So his last three performances, lackluster. So, and then he's coming up to heavyweight, right? So he's coming up to heavyweight against Ciryl Gane, who's in his prime. Question marks, red flags. I'm staying far away from this fight from a betting perspective. As a fan, I love this fight. As a bettor, no, I'm not touching this fight. Like this is a fight is a borderline 100 gambler fight to bet on, especially at this price. Like if you got Jones at plus money, I like it. I would have been on there as well. But Jones at minus 155, laying chalk on Jones with all these red flags, I can't do it. I gotta pick Jones here though. The reason being the Gane and Ngannou fight. Like it's the big elephant in the room. Everybody's talking about it. How can you ignore it? Ngannou had one takedown in his first 13 fights in the UFC, only one. And then all of a sudden he goes out there against Ciryl Gane with a knee injury, looked dead tired after the first round, and then goes out there and takes down Gane rounds 3, 4, and 5 and wins the decision. Who expected Ngannou to wrestle? Nobody. Probably not even Ngannou expected that. But Ngannou went out there and took down Gane, showed that, hey, maybe there's a hole in the game of Gane. Maybe there's a hole in the takedown defense. Maybe there's a hole in the get-up game. And guess what? Jon Jones is a very good wrestler. Very good wrestler at light heavyweight, though. So is that wrestling going to translate up a weight class against a much bigger guy? And Gane, we'll have to see, but the path to victory for Jones is going to be there. Curious to see how Jones looks in terms of the striking, in terms of the movement at heavyweight. But, Jones, of course, phenomenal striker, as is Gane. So I think the striking is going to be competitive. But for Jones to win this fight, I think he's going to have to probably get it down to the mat. And judging by the Ngannou fight, I think he does. So give me Jon Jones as far as a pick goes here. But from a betting perspective, you will not see me with any money on this fight. Maybe like maybe I'll go to the casino and put like Jon Jones in a parlay or something. But no serious units is going on this fight here. It's a sketchy fight. Phenomenal fight, but a sketchy one. So give me Jon Jones, though. I'll take Jon Jones to win by decision. But yeah, guys, we did it. Went through all 14 fights on the card. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys have not, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Trying to reach 20K subscribers in the very near future. I think we're like 800 away. Still a long way to go, but do appreciate all subscriptions. If you're not subscribed, please be sure to subscribe. It does mean a lot. Trying to get 500 likes on this video. That'd be nice. Again, be sure to check out dfsbythenumbers.com. Lots of stuff going on over there. I'll be getting bets out for this card. I'll be getting my full card article probably a day early. Everything a day early this week, since I'll be taking off for Vegas. So make sure you check that out. Also go to dfsbythenumbers.com. Maybe get yourself a t-shirt. If you're in the US, free shipping on me. It's on me. So get you a t-shirt, a DFS by the Numbers t-shirt. I'm going to try to sell those out in the very near future as well. But yeah, other than that, you can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers. Instagram is DFS by the Numbers. Follow me there. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, I'm usually pretty active there, especially on Fight Week on Twitter. So check me out there. Going live at, once again, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, for the Final Thoughts live stream that I'll be going live sometime this week for Best Bets. So make sure you are subscribed so don't miss out on that. Hit the post notification bell as well. And best of luck for UFC 285. Had a really good January, good February. Let's have a great March. 4 great cards. Best of luck, everybody. Let us win some money and enjoy the fights for UFC 285. See you guys later.